Hey friends, so these are going to be the test corrections I'm going to go over for the test that you guys took called Inferences 2. And we took this, I believe, just yesterday. So the very first thing, this video is going to be right here on today's student work in Canvas. And then make sure that you're clicking this link to access your test corrections. It'll ask you to make a copy. Click on Make a Copy. Please make sure to actually put your name up here. It helps me out a lot where it says your name. And then you guys will need to do 3 of the 5, there's 5 most missed questions, number 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. And listen to this video about halfway through. I'm going to start going over why each answer is the best answer. So I'll actually go over number 2 and why C is the best answer. So what you hear needs to go here. If you guys are just saying because I guessed, you're not getting credit for test corrections. So please make sure you're listening to the video and typing in what you hear. All right, here we go. Speaking of the test. Dun, 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 dun. So the first part of this video is going to be me reading over the test. If you guys have already done that, you remember what the test is about, then you can skip this section and go straight on to where I go over the most missed questions, starting with number 2. All right, a winning culture. When basketball coach Kevin Cook accepted the head coach position for Gallaudet, I need to look up how to say this, University women's basketball team in 2007, he knew he was facing a huge challenge. The team had experienced several losing seasons in a row, culminating in a record of 3 wins and 23 losses the previous year. Additionally, the students at this university were either deaf or hard of hearing, which made communications a major obstacle because Cook didn't know a single word of sign language. We'll say it's Gallaudet right now. Gallaudet, founded in 1864 in Washington, D.C., is the world's leading university in programs designed for deaf and hard of hearing students. The Gallaudet University women's basketball team, the Bison, started in 1896. It hadn't had a championship-filled history, so it was Cook's mission at Gallaudet to change the team's record from a losing one to a winning one. A main factor leading to the team's consecutive losing seasons was the way the team communicated on the basketball court. Unable to communicate through spoken words, the women had to look at one another to read plays. The players typically used small facial movements, lip reading, or sign language. When they looked at one another to communicate a play, they took their eyes off the ball. Cook figured that the team lost an average of 6 points a game as a result. The first 2 seasons of Cook's coaching career with the Bison were neither easy nor immediately successful. The team's record for the 2007 to 2008 season was 3 wins and 21 losses, followed by 6 wins and 19 losses in the 2008-2009 season. Cook, who had coached professional teams, high-ranked college teams, and even the Nigerian national team, was discouraged, and the players could tell. Some of the players thought Cook was unable to connect with deaf culture. As one star player recalls, "We were trying to get on the same page as him, and he was frustrated." Then Cook began to learn sign language, and he used an interpreter on the sidelines to convey messages to players on the court. He soon realized that what he thought was an obvious disadvantage, players lip reading on the court, had the possibility to be a strength as well. Though players looking away from the game in order to communicate would continue to cost them some points, it would also give the players a competitive advantage. Teams with non-deaf players depended on hearing one another on noisy courts in loud arenas. The Bison, on the other hand, had only to briefly glance at one another to know the next play. The other team's players would also not be able to overhear the upcoming plays, often communicated through sign-like gestures and mouth movements. And when the opposing team's coach called a play, sometimes Cook could communicate that message to his team. In contrast, few opposing coaches understood any sign language and were therefore not privy to the Bison playbook. The team's efforts began to show positive results. In the 2009-2010 season, the Bison finally achieved a winning season of 14 wins and 12 losses, the team's best record in 10 years. Although it was an impressive turnaround, Cook knew that the team could play better. At the beginning of the next season, Cook wanted the Bison to be more enthusiastic about practice and playing well, but some players still felt that Cook did not understand the deaf world. Cook was very upset about this perception. He told the team that they were confusing deaf culture with a culture of losing. He said they needed to build a winning culture. To that end, Cook scheduled a scrimmage, a game that would not count towards the team's record, between the Bison and a highly ranked team. Although Gallaudet lost the scrimmage by 53 points, the players noticed that they played well and were able to focus on the positive aspects of the game. We always remember how we played that day, and it's lifted our level of play in general. Star center Nukatra Haynes commented through an interpreter, or Hayes. After that, the Bison won their next 20 games. They finished the regular season with only 2 losses. They were identified as one of the top teams in the Northeastern Athletic Conference, or the NEAC. The team was invited to play in the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, tournament, a widely watched and publicized event, but they were eliminated in the first round. They finished with an impressive record of 24 wins and 4 losses for the year. One star player stated it succinctly: everything came together this year. So here's an image. Coach Cook, right, gives instructions to the Gallaudet women's basketball team with the help of a sign language interpreter. Cook was named the NEAC Coach of the Year. For him, however, earning honors was a secondary reward. He said that the biggest lesson he had learned was to be grateful, and he also noted that he learned patience, both on and off the court. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and look at our most missed questions. The first most missed question is question 2. The title of the selection emphasizes the idea that Cook, A, thought that coaching the team would help him understand deaf culture, B, believed that his players could better play if they practiced more, C, wanted his team to focus on playing to their greatest potential, or D, knew that his team would learn more from winning than from losing. So let's go look at the question, which is about the title of the selection. So the title of our selection is A Winning Culture. So from what we read, we know that, first of all, the reference to the word culture is this whole idea of deaf culture, that Cook had to learn how to be more of a part of deaf culture to understand them. But even that wasn't quite enough. Later on in paragraph 7 and 8, it talks about Cook's doing his scrimmage, in which the players lost terribly, but they learned how to play to their best potential. So it's not that this is going to help him understand deaf culture. It's really about this idea of winning. So they don't really say anything about practicing more. He doesn't say they're going to learn more from winning than losing. In fact, they actually learned a lot from losing. So the best answer is letter C, that the title of the selection emphasizes the idea that Cook, C, wanted his team to focus on playing to their greatest potential. So C is the best answer because the title, A Winning Culture, refers to Cook wanting players to play to their best potential. One more time, C is the best answer because the title, A Winning Culture, refers to Cook wanting his team to play to their greatest potential. All right, our next most missed question is question 3, and then we'll look at question 4. Question 3, the author presents the events that led to the team's winning record in chronological order, or by year, to emphasize that. So what they're talking about here is that they focus a lot on years. Like they focus on 2007. They focus on how badly they played in 2007 and 2008, 2009. And then in 2009, started turning a corner. And then in 2000, or actually after that, the next year, they started like really winning and amping it up. So the author presents the events that led to the team's winning record. Why does he do this? Why does the author actually, or is it a she? Let me make sure. I don't want to get that wrong. I don't know the author. Wait, gasp. I don't know the author. So why did the author actually do that? Why did they include all those numbers? So was it because the university was supportive of the women's basketball team? I don't even know where they got that. Was it because changing the team's perspective on winning did not happen overnight? Meaning they want us to actually know that it took years to happen? Maybe. Let's see. Was it that deaf basketball teams have an advantage over hearing basketball teams? The article talks about that, but that doesn't have anything to do with these like years being listed? We want it having something to do with the years being listed. Or was it that the university gained recognition because of the team's improvement? So if I scroll down, it doesn't even give a year that the coach won. And it doesn't even talk about the university gaining recognition. It talks about Coach Cook gaining recognition. So that means that B is our best answer. And that's true. So here we go. For number 3, B is the best answer because the author wanted to emphasize that it took years to build a winning culture. B is the best answer because the author wanted to emphasize that it took years to build a winning culture. Alrighty, friends, on to our next most missed question, which happens to be question number 4. Here we go. Question 4, which of these best describes why some of the Gallaudet players lacked confidence in Cook when he first became coach of the team? Before I even look at this, if I remember this correctly, give me 1 second, I gotta pause. Okay, guys, I'm back. So before I look at the answers for this one, I wanna just remember back to what I read in the passage. And it really does, about in the middle of the passage, it talks about why these players are like, dude, the coach was not the best coach for this team. If you guys remember, he couldn't speak sign language. So that is a huge problem since his entire team is deaf or hard of hearing. And they talk about him being frustrated, and they talk about how things start changing once he does learn sign language. So I want to find the answer that best fits what I already know off the top of my head. So A says they thought the standards he set for the team were too high. It never talks about standards. B says he had previously been the coach of a professional team. Maybe he had, but that has nothing to do with him lacking confidence in his team now. They thought he could not understand deaf culture, what the world was like for the deaf. Well, actually, that is a whole thing. If you guys look here in paragraph 4, it says some of the players thought Cook was unable to connect with deaf culture. So we actually have that directly quoted in paragraph 4. So that's probably our answer. And then D says he thought that winning games was more important than the players did. It never talks about certain people thinking winning games is more important. So those are just out of left field. So C is our best answer. So for this one, you're going to write C is the best answer because in paragraph 4, there's a quote about the players saying he could not connect with deaf culture. So again, C is the best answer because in paragraph 4, there is a quote that the player said Cook could not connect with deaf culture. And so that's why he lacked confidence, right, guys? He couldn't communicate with them. All right, so our next most missed question, I believe, is number 6 and number 8. These are actually a little bit faster. Question 6 says, the author suggests that Cook had frustrating moments while coaching at Gallaudet largely because all right, guys, you already know why he was frustrated, right? So let's go find our answer. Is it because he believed that his players lacked the skills necessary for success? Maybe, if those are communication skills. So let's leave that one open. B, he knew he was not communicating well with his team. He definitely wasn't. They weren't even speaking the same language. C, the university expected too much of its team. Never talks about that. Or D, he knew that his team could not overcome their disadvantage. He definitely did not end up thinking, if you guys look right here, I want to show y'all in paragraph 5, it says he soon realized that what he had thought was an obvious disadvantage had the possibility to be a strength as well. So not only did he stop viewing it as a disadvantage, but he realized that it was a strength. So D is not the correct answer because it ends up being a strength. So we want to know, why was he really having those frustrating moments? Ultimately, it was B, because he wasn't communicating well with his team. So the best answer, here we go. B is the best answer because Cook could not speak sign language at first. B is the best answer because Cook could not speak sign language at first. Our last one is going to be number 8. It says in paragraph 9, so let me scroll down to that, find my underlined words here. In paragraph 9, the word succinctly most likely means, so let's go read that sentence. They finished with an impressive record of 24 wins and 4 losses for the year. One star player stated it succinctly. Everything came together this year. So we want to know, what does succinctly mean? Does it mean something said in a brief manner, an emotional manner, an excited manner, or a nonsensical manner? Well, we can go ahead and take out nonsensical because we can't put the word nonsensical there. It doesn't make sense. So we want to know, does this mean emotional, excited, or brief? Well, if you're not familiar with the word, you should be going to the online dictionary. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the word succinct. And there's our answer right there. That's convenient. So it says succinctly, in a brief and clearly expressed manner. So it means to state something concisely, to state something in as few words as possible. So if we go back over here, we know that A is going to be our best answer because this entire passage up through now, this player just stated it in one sentence. They took the whole passage and said, everything came together this year. They stated it briefly, right? So for this one, for number 8, letter A is the best answer because succinctly means brief. Letter A is the best answer because succinctly means brief. All right, guys, so use this to fill out your test corrections. Make sure that you send this in on today's student work if you want to get credit for those and get some points back. Good luck. Contact your teacher if you have any questions. Bye for now.